For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's Tuesday practice of Texas Week. And if you were expecting Clay Helton to totally throw out what they've been doing practice-wise and start something new after Saturday's loss to Stanford, that's not what we saw today, and it's not necessarily what we expected today. But it wasn't the cleanest practice. It was slightly sloppy on offense. I know Dan and I see it a little differently, but I thought it was kind of sloppy. Dan, what did you see out there today?
Well, I think they know they've got to run. They've got to run the football. And they've got to protect JT Daniels. I mean, it's, so they know clearly what they got to get done. Did today's practice help them get there? In terms of recognition, probably.
Yeah.
In terms of actually doing it against, I mean, we saw what, Texas did last year with bringing everybody on it, all the, the zone stuff that they bring. And, Coach Orlando just, they look like they filled every gap and took a lot of things away. So I think they know, what's in store for them. Did today, all the offensive linemen were there. It wasn't like last Thursday when three of them were kind of not a part of the process. So that's a good thing. But Toa's still not 100%, but he was pleased that he got out there and he made it through. And he said he felt better today, so that's always a plus. But you probably would have liked a little bit of crisper, cleaner.
Sense of urgency.
Yeah, that sense of urgency. We heard that in the preseason, I thought, didn't we? We talked about a sense of urgency, and then it went away. And I'm not sure, we're going to see it this week. I think they just have to be better in Texas. They have to handle what Texas does and not stop themselves. Now, did today help them not stop themselves? I don't know that we know that.
Yeah, you and I both talked to Cedric Ware and Toa Lobendahn, and both of them were aware that they need to protect JT Daniels. They have to give him a sense of security so that he doesn't get happy feet. He doesn't want to leave the pocket as sooner than he should. But like you said, that sense of urgency. Did they practice like that? Is it concerning that we didn't see necessarily a grasp of what they're saying?
Well, I think they were happy that JT comes back and doesn't have any pain.
Yeah.
Looked like, he said he was, close to 100%. Was able to throw a little bit yesterday. I think Clay said, he was decisive today. If you didn't know that, he'd done what he did on Saturday, and we heard what that they weren't going to let him do anything on Sunday, you wouldn't, and had an MRI and all that, you wouldn't have known by watching him today that, okay, he's got an issue. You just wouldn't have known that, because I thought he made all the throws. I think JT was good talking about it. He said, better to have it, I guess, behind us now, under our belt, than to have that happen in Game 10. And he said, it's something you got to go through. I've got to learn. He said, I get one of those. He said, you get a chance to make those mistakes or make that kind of a mistake once, but he said you don't get any more chances now. Yeah. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. He did say on the interception to Amon-Ra in the end zone, he said it was just a bad pass. I should have thrown it deeper to the corner. And he said, so that's on me. But he certainly wasn't making any excuses, wasn't, facing up to things. He may face reality as well or better than anybody in this program in terms of telling you like it is.
Yeah.
He just, hey, I didn't do this, or I didn't get it done, or some of the looks I looked, and he was guessing. For example, if you don't have time, and he didn't, to progress to the first, second, third read, you got to kind of guess which read is going to be there. And there were times when he guessed wrong. But if you're only going to get time for one, you have to guess. Yeah. So I know people say, well, you're staring down. He wasn't staring down. He basically realized, I think I've got one shot at this play, and what I'm going to do is pick one. And they said there were times when he picked one and somebody else was open. But if he doesn't have time to get to that somebody else, it's not his fault.
Mm-hmm. T. Martin had an extensive scrum today. You got to be in that scrum. What did T have to say?
He's learning the quarterback as well as the quarterback is learning how to play in college, and made it clear that yes, they did run the ball pretty well in that in the first half, and they were having good luck running the ball on first down, more than a 5-yard average, and they weren't having great luck throwing the ball on first down. A couple of penalties and a couple of incompletions, but he said you can't just go up and line up and run it every time. But on the crucial, basically the ball game was less than 2 minutes to go, first half. USC's ball on the 40-yard line of Stanford. They've got 3rd and 2, and now you've got 2 plays, and you're running the ball pretty well. And now what do you do? Do you go and line up and run it twice? And and they did. They ran it once, and then they didn't get anything. And T said, well, they blitzed. They had a 0 blitz, and they came with everybody the last time we were in that situation. So they figured Stanford would do that again. So they threw a pass in there, and it totally blew up. And we didn't get a good answer as to your 3rd and 2. You got to drive. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, if USC could have driven in and scored, we're talking about a 14-point swing. Stanford doesn't even get the ball. If USC just, either gets the first down or punts it or whatever, and Stanford doesn't score, it's a 7-0 game at halftime. I mean, that was the game, that inability to get 2 yards in 2 plays, and I still don't know that they know how are we going to do that going forward. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. As far as Texas goes, Helton says that he's impressed with Tom Herman and what he's done with Sam Ehlinger and how he's basically a run threat now. But as far as defense goes, Helton says that USC's defense did get worn out in the 4th quarter against Stanford, and that rotation is going to have to be imperative against Texas. And he also said that at that safety position, Talanoa Hufanga and C.J. Pollard will be rotating, so it doesn't matter who starts. We're going to see a lot of them on Saturday.
Yeah, they probably hope it's not a 2 overtime game and 90 plays with Texas running no huddle and all that. I would guess Texas will try. I mean, that was by far, I think, Texas's best game last year. They played Oklahoma pretty decently, but the USC game, to play as well as they did and not win it at the end with Sam beating them in second overtime, that was a tough loss. I think that changed the whole trajectory of Texas's season. And I think they feel like, they're 1-1. They lost to Maryland that they shouldn't have lost, and they didn't play all that well against Tulsa. But I think they'll think that if they can get it going against USC, they can get their season going in the right direction. And it's really going to be a big deal for Texas. So, and a really big deal for Cedric Ware. I mean, I think the fact that he gets to go home, such a great kid, been such a good, Trojan and all of the other things. He said he's going to have a ton of people at the game, and it's just so you wish him well, and so that makes kind of a nice storyline for this game.
Mm-hmm. As far as injuries go, Juliano Falaniko returned to practice after having an AC sprain in his shoulder. USC also got Josh Falo back, and that's important as far as tight ends goes. That wasn't really a position of production for USC on Saturday.
No, I mean, so you start out with 2 of the, I like to put down the initials, and you got 2 JFs that are coming back. So that's always a good thing. Josh Falo got the ball right away, and he changes the look of this offense. If he's out there and you can get the ball to him, that's a good. And Clay makes clear that makes your quarterback. That's one really good option that they didn't have. And just the fact that all of the offensive linemen were there, all of the defensive linemen are basically there. They didn't, and I'll go with you about, they didn't look all that maybe energetic. They kind of slugged it out, but maybe not as much of a bounce as you might like. But they did look like they kind of wanted to go after one another. It's just not like it happened exactly.
What exactly does that mean?
I don't think they looked as lively as you'd like to see them. As bouncy as quick-footed and all of that. Recover real fast. But they did kind of slug it out. They just didn't slug it out. It looked like maybe heavyweight fighters when they get it, round 12 or something, and they've kind of punched themselves out, and they're still trying to be aggressive, but they're maybe not as aggressive as you like. So I don't know if that's, thinking about it, if that's what that was. I don't think last week he really worried that kind of almost disqualified him from having a real good shot. I don't think that was the case today. I think today, no, I don't think today was in the class of last week. But I think they tried. I think the scout team, for example, tried to play more physical. I mean, they did allow some catches and things like that you don't want to see. But I thought there was a higher level of physicality, maybe not where you would ideally like necessarily to see it, but more than say last week.
See, I think that's where you and I differ just a little bit, but we'll see how tomorrow goes. But as far as you mentioned the situation with Texas and where they're coming into this season, historically USC under Clay Helton has been a little shell-shocked when they go into a tough environment with a team that's ready to play them. Do you feel like USC understands the situation they're going into and will be ready to play?
Yeah, this is one of my pet peeves is I'd really like, you go in 2 time zones, I think you ought to go on Thursday after practice and spend all day there on Friday. Get the benefit of a real walkthrough and all that. When you go, Friday morning, everything just seems a little hurried. This is a different kind of a place. This is a stadium. I think the first time I was there, it seated 68,000, and I think it's well over 100,000 now. So it's a different looking place. It's an unusual kind of a configuration and all that. And apparently they do some they call it Bevo Boulevard. Bevo is the Longhorn steer who's their mascot, who I got to stand next to for a whole game once, and it's really cool looking. Bevo doesn't do much, but they call it Bevo Boulevard, and I guess they've got a big fan kind of experience thing that they've put together this year that they think is really, really special and all that. And you'd kind of like to see, you get that out of the way on Friday, so you don't have to walk in there and say, "Whoa, look at this place! This is really different." But apparently that's not going to happen. That maybe for budgetary reasons, they're just going to go on Friday. So I think it's an adjustment. 2 time zones is an adjustment, and there are teams in the Southeastern Conference that haven't gone 2 time zones in the last 2 decades. It's just not what some teams do. Yeah. But there is an adjustment 2 times. Luckily, it's a night game, but it's still an adjustment, and we'll see how well they adjust. But you're right. This has not been a team that's adjusted really well. The Washington game, in Seattle 2 years ago is the big exception, the really big exception. And how do you explain, comparing it to the other games? You don't know. Yep. So you don't want to make any, wild predictions based on anything other than it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Texas is a different place.
Yep. Speaking of fan experience, Dan and I actually will be in Austin on Friday. We're having a meetup, a USCFootball.com meetup. Ryan Abraham will be there. We will be there, as I said. It will be at a bar in Austin at 3 p.m. You can look up the details at USCFootball.com. They're all there. We'd love to meet you guys if you're out there or live in Austin.
Is it the Key Bar on 6th Street?
There you go.
So for everybody that tells you, every place you got to go here and got to go there in Austin, that's one of the places, if you're a USC guy, you got to go.
Apparently it's owned by a USC alum, so there you have it. Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Tuesday practice of Texas Week. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out USCFootball.com.